that would be interesting just to say this is video number 2. So what the deal is, we've got some severe storms moving in tomorrow, and I've got to get it moved because this big tree right behind it is split and it's going to come apart, and I don't want it to crush the J-20, the 1982 J-20 Jeep. So I went ahead and got a battery for it. On the previous video, I tried to charge the old battery up, it wouldn't work. I tried to jump it, it wouldn't work. So I got a new battery, going to put it in there, and hopefully my plan is this evening is to fire it up and at least get it moved away from this tree. That's the main goal right now. I'd hate to lose the J-20 after 40 years being crushed by this tree back here. So let me go ahead and unwrap it again and see if we can't get it started. Hey, I'm glad you stopped by. I really appreciate the help. Let's get this baby unwrapped. Unwrapping a big old Christmas present. When it comes to things like this battery, I don't really mind putting a new battery in it because everything that I'm going to start doing to the Jeep J-20, that part will be brand new again. So when you work on an old vehicle, that's a nice thing. You hate it when things break down, but hey, if you invest in them, you put a new part in, well, it's like a brand new part. So if it's a starter, whatever it is, once it goes in, you made the investment. Sometimes it's a lot cheaper to do it this way, to fix something up that's older, than to go out and buy something brand new. Especially with the price tags these days, $30, $40, $50, $70,000, you know, for like a brand new Toyota minivan. That's crazy. It's gotten so far out of control. So anyways, I really don't mind it that much putting this new battery in. So that right there gave it some juice. Let's see if I can't get it to turn over. Okay, so there we go. The motor is going to turn over. Now I checked the oil. The oil's full. The antifreeze could use just a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and put some starter fluid in the carburetor and see if I can't get it to fire up. Eventually I'm going to drain all the gas out, put new gas in it, and change the oil and do all the fluids and do all that, of course, before I start running it. But for now, with this gigantic storm coming in, I want to just make sure I get this baby out of here from underneath this tree that has cracked and is going to eventually fall right on top of the J-20. So let me go get some starter fluid. We're going to see if we can't fire this baby. A couple things that I've got. Starter fluid. It's always good to try to start a vehicle with that if possible. I got a little bit of gasoline sitting here in case I need to pour a little bit into the carburetor. Another thing, from my years of experience working on cars like this, like once again, I'm not even close to a mechanic, but I've worked on a lot of cars all through my life. And I always notice it's always good to have something like a big towel just in case that carburetor backfires and you get some type of a fire start. It's always good to have something handy that you can throw on it and put that fire out. Here's my buddy the owl in the background. But I got to thinking, before I fire it up, because if it does fire up, then I want to try to keep it running. But you know, before I do that, I'm going to have to pull the tarp all the way off to make sure the exhaust isn't underneath the tarp and it'll get hot and catch fire as I'm trying to keep the engine running. So let's go ahead and untarp this whole baby and you'll kind of get a view of the whole truck. Pretty cool machine. I had things like that ladder on there. When you have snow, heavy snows, I wanted to make sure that the snow wasn't sinking into the bed of the truck. So that ladder and everything kept that snow from coming off either side. It kind of worked pretty good. Like I said, it's been this way for several years. Okay, good enough. Let's see if we can't fire her up. Okay, at this point I think I'm going to put a little bit of gas in the carburetor. Alright, so far so good. At least this way here I'll be able to move it so that tree doesn't fall on the J-20 and we'll kind of go from there. Sounds like she's running a little bit rough, but I can imagine sitting that long. Alright. Let's get this baby moved. Hopefully it rolls. I'm pretty sure it will. Okay, having a little trouble actually getting it out of where it's been parked for so long. It was actually sunken down a little bit in some places. I tried to put it in four-wheel drive. What's crazy is it's been so long since I've actually drove it and messed with it, I forgot it's got lockouts on the front tires. On the front rim it has lockouts. So now I've got it locked in. Let's see if it can't get out where it's been resting for a very long time.
seed. Good boy, you boy, give me that.
All right, mission accomplished. Yeah, there we go. Okay, for now, that's going to be a nice little resting spot for it. The problem down there, of course, is going to be the pine trees, and you get a lot of sap starting to come down, and they release stuff especially during the spring and stuff, so I'm not going to leave it there, but at least now it's out of the way of this big tree that's going to split and fall on it. So that's pretty good. So there we go. Glad you came along, glad you helped. Hey, I was glad to see it fired up. That's so funny how I tried to get it to go, and I'm thinking, what is holding up? I was thinking maybe the drums had sealed themselves and the tires were just kind of sliding. Well, no, the back tire was just sitting there squalling and digging a big rut in the back because I didn't have the lockouts, the front lockouts. Duh. I bought the truck, brand new, 1982, have four-wheeled it everywhere. The largest pits, stripper pits you can imagine around this area this truck has been through. I knew it had lockouts at one time. Duh. Okay. Yeah, she was just sitting there just digging and spinning. Hey, get back. Get back, get back, get back. Sam, how come you're barking at my truck? Jazz? Both of you, barking dogs, barking. All right, so there she is, the 1982 J-20 in all her glory. Now I can imagine there's going to be a lot of people, especially the people that love full-size Jeeps, are going to say, son, why in the world did you let that truck go like that? Well, life happens in 40 years, right? Things happen, babies come along, families are formed, financial situations change. So hey, all I can say is that here it is. All my buddies that had their four-wheelers back then, we used to go through and full-wheel every weekend. All those trucks are long gone. But the Jeep, the J-20, still lives. Thank you to that new battery. That definitely helped. That's a good investment right there. And there's the new carburetor that my son Alex installed, the Elderbrock. Now I thought that was a Holly, but it's an Elderbrock. I'm sure that is a good carburetor, but I would kind of like to put a factory carburetor back on it. It's got a 360 engine in it. I don't know, you might even be able to see some of the specs right here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to wash that off so we can see that a little bit better. But there it is. That's the Jeep. And of course, there's the inside. I have the panels and everything inside the shop. But you can tell it is a real mess. I can even see some rust has started on the metal here. Of course, that dashboard right there was busted one time when I was four-wheeling and I got stuck. And it was in the middle of winter time, and I just smashed my fist into it and broke that dashboard right there. Yep. See, I'm the original owner, so I've done it all. I've abused it. Look at all that stuff down there. That's crazy, all that's there. But you know what? Once again, like I said, it's still here, it's still alive, and it's still mine. So maybe I'll have time to fix it all back up. It's got some rust in places on it and stuff. It's going to need some tender loving care. But hey, when it comes to YouTube, you know you can fix about anything on YouTube. There's a video for it. This was a customized bumper right here I had put on. And actually at one time I custom painted the back tailgate. It had started to rust, so I went ahead and painted it. There's that. And you can see right here, last time it was license was 2017. This is all custom work I had put on at one time to haul big heavy construction trailers and like little backhoes and stuff like that. So this is a really nice bumper that I had the guy weld custom, Lance. His name was Lance. He custom welded all this on, including these tow hooks right here, which is nice. And there's the bottom down there. You know, you can see it needs some sandblasting and cleaned up, but just take a look at that rear end in there. That seemed like somebody once told me that was a Dana heavy duty rear end in there. I'm not really for sure, but it needs some tender loving care, and I'm planning on giving it to it from here on in. Alright, gonna skip me up with some new tires. These tires are shot. These are not factory rims. I bought these from a guy in Ferdinand, Indiana, probably, I don't know, half a dozen years ago. And the tires are bad. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the rims or not, or try to put factory rims. The nice thing about these rims is they allow larger tires. So for any of you folks that don't know what I'm talking about, lockouts, four-wheel drives these days, usually you just push a button and they go into four-wheel drive. But when you got something like this, you have these lockouts right here. So when I do this, now the front tire is not locked in. The front differential is not locked into this hub. But in order to engage it, you turn it the other way. And there, now it locks in, it's ready to go. And I had totally forgot about that when I was back there spinning out, digging a big mud rut. And I was thinking, what in the heck's going on? Well, that was going on. I didn't have those locked in. Now, underneath here is that 12,000 pound Warn winch that pulled me and many other four-wheelers out of big, gigantic mud holes. We're talking about the ones that, you know, if I ever get the chance to go back in my archive, I will definitely have some video of some four-wheeling that was pretty crazy. I mean, we didn't stop at anything, and if we got stuck, well, somebody behind us would pull us out. I'm not sure what to even expect lifting this cover up here. Figured maybe there'd be an animal living in there or something. Not for sure, but there it is. That's a big boy right there. Man, that has got some power right there. And the last time it's probably been a decade since I ran it, but at one time, the last time I messed with it, it did run and ran fine. Got some fog lights on there. Those look like Warn fog lights on there. And this is a Warn winch bumper, but it has been modified and welded to the frame because the guy, Lance, his name was Lance, he knew that with a winch this big on the front, that if I was stuck deep enough, that boy, it could pull this truck apart if you weren't careful. So it's welded on there, and it's as straight as can be. All the pulling and stuff I did on it, it's as straight as can be. I actually have the factory bumper in the shop still, the 1982 factory bumper. Who knows, maybe someday I'll put it back on, but for now, that's the way it looks. That's the way it's going to be. You know the story on that big Warn winch right there, and I can tell you exactly the moment I decided that winch was going on the truck, and it was winter time. Went out into the country, went out in the stripper pits, did a little four-wheeling, nothing serious. There got to be a point where there was one, was up on kind of like a hill, and it went down into what looked like just a flat area, and it looked like it was probably a little bit muddy, and I thought, oh, I'm going to go ahead and try that. And it was pretty steep, and I went down that, and as soon as I went down there and hit it, it was nothing but brown ice, and the J-20 hit it, and the front end didn't crush through right at first, went straight across, and about probably 30 feet inside that, where I thought I was going to punch it and throw some pretty nice rooster tails, it broke through. and the truck just sunk. And that's one of the times that I opened my doors up and all the mud and stuff just come rushing in the floorboard of the J-20. Now what's even gets a little bit worse is it was freezing cold. It was like in the 20s. Being dumb, I took it. The Jeep truck is pretty tough. I'm gonna get out of here. I know exactly how to get out of here. So I just nailed it and started going back and forth with it. And I started throwing rooster tails probably at least 10, 15 feet up in the air. Well, guess what? All that mud and water and stuff come back down, got on the Jeep, and within minutes started to freeze. I couldn't see out the front. I couldn't see out the back. The whole truck had become like an icicle. You know, you really do dumb things when you're young like that. And it's like, God, what am I doing? So eventually, after 2 more vehicles come out, actually I had a guy brought another Jeep that I had. Another one of his friends had a nice Ford truck that was really a bad Ford truck. Together, they linked those up and they were able to pull me out of that pit. Man, you make mistakes. But to get to my point, when did that winch go on? The very next day, I went into the dealership there, and I said, I want a Warren winch. What's the biggest one you got in stock? 12,000 pounds. I'll take it. Went ahead and had it custom built. It was still a few more weeks before the guy welded everything together. There it is. There it sits. When you're the original owner, you remember stuff like that. Hey, I appreciate you coming to the channel. That's LAF Space Film Fest, capital LAF Space Film Fest. Hey, if you would, hammer down, double hammer down that subscribe button. I appreciate it. Helps me to put out videos like this. Hey, if you're a Jeep fan and you know what that is sitting there, you're going to be excited about seeing these videos, because one by one I'm going to kind of fix a few things up and make it nice again. I'm probably not going to redo it totally. I wish I could. I know I've seen on those auction shows, those national auction shows, I've seen Jeeps like this pull up, auction off for $50,000, $60,000. Saw one for $70,000 go off the auction block. That's amazing. I ain't got that kind of money. I can't put that kind of money in it, even though the return would be crazy. Just can't do it. Anyways, I'm going to get it to where at least can drive it around the neighborhood and drive it out in the street and go fill it up with firewood and just enjoy it. All right. I appreciate you coming to the channel. You have a good day.